Hey everyone, it's Kariana, your favorite witchy coach. Happy spooky season, guys. I am so excited that October is finally here. All right, so guys, I am going to dive into a subscriber question. I talked about it in another video, and I'm going to bring it to you guys because I feel like a lot of people ask me about 3Ps, period. And I have a lot of success stories around 3P, but this was a specific question. And like I said before, I always try to get to your guys' questions, but I have literally been flooded with questions. It's hard for me to, every week get to all the questions. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to be doing like Q&A. So I have a list of questions, subscriber questions, and I will be pulling from that list the questions that I feel will reach a variety of, subscribers that'll help you guys, and go from there. That way, this is like a little bit, it's fair. I'm trying to get to everybody, and I'm not just, because I don't want people to think, well, I put in a question and you haven't answered it yet. I'm just going by this list, guys. I'm pulling random questions that I think will really help you guys, and then I'm bringing it to the channel. Sometimes, I can answer a few questions in one video. This one I'm going to do specifically on its own, just because it's a very specific question. And I'm going to share details about my success stories around this. In my recent career with working with my clients, I've worked with at least 3 people that have had this issue, the same issue. And 2 of them are my success stories. Okay, so those are good numbers. Okay, so I'm going to read from the question. Sorry, guys. Ugh. I'm going to read from the question here, and then I'm going to go into the topic. Okay, so it says, never heard of success stories where you change the pregnant 3P to where it's not SP's babies. And she put twins in parentheses. It was a random hookup and they got pregnant. I've been struggling with this for months and not sure how to go about the steps. It's hard to just ignore the 3P when it seems like it's a permanent circumstance. Okay, this is a great question. It is. It's very specific, okay? But I am going to talk about first how we manifest 3Ps. I'm going to touch on that really quick. Okay, because I've talked about it before, but I'm going to touch on it really quick because I do not want to make this video super duper long. I'm also going to be talking about this and success stories, okay? Just so you know, you're not alone in this topic and that it is not permanent, okay? I'm going to be very adamant about that. As long as you're diligent, okay, with the tools that I teach you guys, nothing's permanent, not even this circumstance, okay? The more that you concentrate on it, though, the more that you give it consciousness and give it awareness, then it will become, or it will seem, the illusion that it's permanent. Okay, it will exhaust you. It will seem like it's not budging, and all of the negative things that we talk about on this channel. Not going to lie to you. Not going to lie to you. But if you are diligent, if you are consistent, like I always say, repetition, diligence, okay, if you're consistent, then you can knock this out, okay? But I just want to talk about this topic because you're not alone. And if anybody has watched any of my videos, okay, I don't talk about 3Ps a ton. I don't like to repeat myself, but I have made a couple of 3P videos, and I teach how to get rid of a 3P just like Amanda does, right? And me and Amanda did a whole video on it together in the beginning of my career here at CYF. But I've also talked about it after that, okay? And I'm not going to change my mind on how I feel like it's the best course of action on how to get rid of a 3P, okay? So yeah, let's dive in. Okay, so 3P, okay? So how we manifest the 3P, okay, is, long story short, is it's out of fear. Okay, we're manifesting. Whenever an a 3P pops up, it's because we're operating in fear. Okay, whenever what do I always say? Whatever you fear has control over you, period. Okay. Whatever you fear, whatever you ignore, whatever you try to stuff down, whatever you try to bury, whatever you try to run away from, it has fear, it has control over you. Okay. So, and that is always coming from fear. Okay. Sometimes it's deep rooted. Sometimes you know what you're doing. It does not matter. It's all fear. Okay. And so when we're operating out of fear, okay, so we're telling ourselves a story that we're not good enough to have this relationship. We're not good enough to be a priority. We're not good enough to be valued, right? This person is above me. They have better rankings than me in, their status. Sometimes people are caught up in social media. Sometimes people are caught up in how much somebody makes, what kind of car they drive, how they look, right? And we can say, we're not good enough for that. That person is above us. That can create 3 Ps. Okay. So really not having a good concept of self, and i.e. not really knowing your power. Okay. All of those things are operating from fear. Okay. And when you're sitting there and saying, I'm not good enough to be valued by this person, be respected by this person. If you have a running story that relationships just, never work out, right? This person always tends to get bored. People always tend to get bored with me or just in relationships, period. And things unravel, or somebody is always going to be looking for something else because I'm not exciting enough, or I'm not pretty enough to keep this person in my reality and be loyal to me. Well, that's how we create a 3P. Okay. So I just want you guys to know that that's how a 3P pops up. Well, that's one of the big reasons why 3P can pop up. Okay. So I just want to touch on that. Okay. And how I feel like we treat a 3P once now they're here, right? They're in our reality. We've created them. We've called them in. Okay. I don't agree on just ignoring a 3P. Okay. You didn't ignore the 3P to get here. Okay. You literally had your mind on, this person is going to get bored with me 9 times out of 10. I'm not saying that this is your story, but I'm saying like you had your mind on the fact that this person is not going to show up, love you, support you, stay, be, obsessed with you, be devoted to you, be loyal to you. Okay. And that's how we created the 3P in the first place. So in my opinion, I don't feel like ignoring the 3P, especially because like this person's saying they seem like a permanent circumstance. I don't think that's the answer. Okay. Do I think it's the answer to sit there and obsess about this person 24/7 and have a whole an affirmation track around them and listen to it, 15 times, 3 times, or 15 minutes, 3 times a day? No, I don't think you need to do that either. But I do think that you need to know where it came from, which I just touched on briefly, quickly, right? And then we need to say, I am going to get diligent. I'm going to be committed to changing this because F this, I don't want this in my reality. Okay. Because what do I always say? I don't care if it's 15 times a day. Ask yourself, does this serve me? Does this make me comfortable? Does this respect me? Is this loyal to me? Am I entitled to have more than this? Am I settling in my reality? If any of those questions that you ask yourself, or if any of the answers are yes, you are settling, yes, or no, this doesn't serve you, right? Yes, you deserve better. This is making you uncomfortable. Well, then you got to change it. Okay. So get diligent, get committed, get consistent, and decide. Okay. Because what do I always say? It's less about action. It's more about decision. Okay. A lot of people ask me because they're so caught up in the action. Well, what do I do in my 3D? Do I act? Do I not act? Do I walk 15 times a day and listen to my affirmations and then come home and stand on my head and then do meditations and breath work and then listen to my affirmations again before I go to bed? What do I do, Kariana? Everybody's so fixated on action, physical action, right? No. A lot of times, guys, because what do I always say? You don't have to lift a finger in your reality. This is all about what is going on inside here. It's the only thing that really matters at the end of the day. And it's about decision. Make a choice, make a decision, and stick to it and demand and declare that that is your new truth. Before you see anything, any evidence, before you feel powerful enough, before you are, feeling it real, okay? All of those things. Make the decision first and work from there, okay? And that's what we do with the 3P. We make a decision, we look at our circumstances, and I don't know everybody's circumstances. Circumstances don't really matter, but I don't know everybody's story out there. I don't know everybody's blocks and resistance, but look at your story as a whole. Sit down, ask yourself the questions that I just mentioned. And if any of those are, against you and your power and you feeling comfortable and you feeling like you're being loved and supported and on the pedestal, then change it. And look at your story as the big picture and what your mind would naturally go to about this 3P. Okay. And this, for instance, we're talking about children, a person being pregnant. Okay. I have, like I said, I've worked with at least 3 or 4 clients that this has happened to, similar story, and 2 of them are my success stories. This isn't permanent. I'm going to say it again. So look at the big picture, your story. It's always, special to you. And then create a story that counteracts that story. The complete opposite. Okay? The complete opposite. And you're the person that can answer that alone, sometimes with guidance and in session. Either one, that's fine. But like I said, I don't know all your blocks and resistance, and I don't know the specifics of the story. But if this person is pregnant with twins from your SP and it was a random hookup, okay, let me give you an example. Okay, so it's a random hookup. Maybe you have the assumption that this person and your SP, obviously they don't love each other. It's a random hookup. Okay, so maybe start assuming that your SP thinks that this was a huge, huge, huge mistake. And that random hookup just made them think of you more, made them run to you because they realized they made the biggest mistake that they could have, whether they were with you or not at the time. It doesn't matter. They just think of this thing as a huge mistake. They're ashamed and embarrassed by it. They want to get far, far away from that person. In fact, that's already happened. That person is up the road. Okay. They're up the road. This thing is done between them. It is over, finished. And SP is embarrassed that ever happened, would never, ever go there again. Okay. And it depends on how you want to take care of the twins, right? It sounds to me like in your email or your comment that you want to manifest the babies to not be SPs. Okay. I had a client do that, right? So you need to start affirming right now, okay, in this moment, that you've decided that SP, like I said, that is completely over. SP is embarrassed by that situation, realizes that it was a huge mistake, have realized that it's a huge mistake, bring it into the present. That person is up the road now, not a part of SP's life at all whatsoever. Okay. This person is taking care of their pregnancy. Okay. And that you get news, you guys get news that the babies are not his. Okay. And however you want to go about that, there's plenty of ways. Okay. But make it very specific, very clear to your subconscious how that all worked out, and stick with it. I don't care if your SP is in your face right now talking about that situation. You're in your head changing it, flipping it to the story that we just talked about on this channel. Of course, you can tweak it. Okay. But that's how you take care of an SP, is being very diligent in your story, very steadfast in your story, repetition, repetition, repetition of that story. We don't obsess. We don't ignore. We keep a balance. We let our subconscious tell us when it's time to tell that opposite story. Your subconscious will not let you forget. Okay. It's not fighting you on it. It's literally just telling you what you've told it. It's reminding you, because your subconscious accepts whatever you say. It doesn't fight you. So when it's reminding you, it's actually your best friend. It's actually doing what it's supposed to do. But if it's reminding you of a story that you don't like, that's unacceptable to you, that you don't appreciate, you're just going to counteract that and flip that with a new story. Okay. And then set it down and go about your business for the day. Okay. And that's how you're going to handle a 3P in general, even this 3P that's pregnant. Okay. The story is just going to be different. It's just going to change depending on what 3P situation that you have. But remember, be very diligent, very consistent. Repetition is key with your brain when it comes to anything, including SP or 3P. Okay. And I want you to just decide and declare and command that this is your story, and flip whenever it pops up in your mind. Okay. Also, too, remember that how you created this 3P in the first place is out of fear. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to strengthen your story about your power and who you are and your self-concept. Who am I in relation to this relationship, this situation with 3P now? Who am I in this? How am I treated? How do I walk, talk, act, and respond as the person that has everything that she wants? Answer that and then live from that. Live in the wish fulfilled of that. Okay. How am I now that I am respected by this man? How am I now that I know this man is loyal to me and only me, would never go anywhere else, only has eyes for me, is blinded by me? How am I knowing that this person is devoted to me, that they value and they respect me? They realize my value more and more each day. Who am I? Who am I in that? And tell that story to yourself, to your subconscious. Okay. Keep going back to that in your mind. It's the only thing that matters. Okay. And don't forget, okay, who am I now that I'm treated like this? And how do me and SP interact? How is our dynamic? How is our bond now that this 3P is gone? How is our dynamic? How is our bond? How is our love expressed to each other now that we know without a doubt, because we got the proof that these twins are not his? And that's in our past now, and 3P is gone, and she's up the road with somebody else, and everybody is happy in the situation. How does our relationship look like now? How does our union look? Live from that. Okay. All right. So moving forward, I'm going to really quickly go over the 2 success stories. Okay. I'm not going to go into grand detail, but I just, at the end, I want to share this with you guys. So I've been working, like I said, in my recent time in my career, especially with being on this channel. Before, I was working on my own. I have worked, like I said, recently in the last recent, 3 years. Okay. I have had this situation come to my desk in session, at least 3 or 4 times. Okay. I have 2 success stories that I remember quite clearly, because one is very, very recent. The other one has been in the last year. So they're both pretty recent, but it's so crazy because one of my clients actually had brought up the same thing, pregnant with twins. Okay. And she's my success story now. The other one had just a pregnancy on the line. Okay. They were both able to manifest the 3P gone, and showing proof that SP was not the father of the babies. Okay. And the thing is that, so a lot of my clients got hung up on the whole, watching this pregnancy happen thing, right? So one had found out in vitro. Okay. I don't know. They must have took a test like whenever it's safe for them to do that, and came back to me after working with me and me giving her these tools and stuff. Came back to me and told me that they had found out in vitro that the baby was not his, right? It wasn't the genetics didn't match up. And so she was able to continue on her story even more because she got that evidence, and that gave her the boost of confidence to keep going, which was really, really good for her. And so basically, in a nutshell, they found that the baby wasn't his in vitro, and cut off all contact. They weren't romantically involved at the time, obviously, but the 3P was still in the picture because she was contacting them about the baby and the situation and the details and the appointments and all that stuff. Once they found out in vitro that the baby was not his, the contact was all cut off. She got really, really diligent with her story about the 3P, and the 3P was gone in a matter of weeks, like completely gone. And, it's literally like, you used to see this person out, didn't see them anymore, right? This person used to call, didn't call anymore, right? SP didn't mention this person anymore. And she was able to get rid of this 3P in the matter of months. Okay. I think it was probably I want to say about 2 months. She was able to get rid of the 3P completely from start to finish. Okay. So if we're talking about, I've been doing this for, a few weeks or a month and I'm exhausted already, that's not a long time. Yes, everything is instant. Things can be immediate, that you can see things push out. Things are immediate, but you can actually see it immediately push out. But in this case, you have to remember that this didn't happen overnight. Okay. So it may take a little bit for you to be able to, really push out this new story, this new reality. Okay. So keep that in mind. Okay. And then my second client, unfortunately, and in her reality, babies were born. And then later on, they found out, after taking paternity test, down the line, I think that the twins were probably, I don't know, I'm guessing like maybe 3-4 months old. And this person actually had lost or went into no contact because that's what she decided that she wanted to do. She couldn't take it anymore. She went into no contact. She was like, I've had enough. I just need a break. I need to create some space. SP ended up with the 3P and the babies because he felt like he had an obligation to that. And that's her story, right? And like I said, I think it was 2 to 4 months down the road, SP came back and told her, because they were in no contact for a few months, and came back and told her, I've moved out of the house. Things blew up. I found out the babies weren't mine. We ended up, arguing and everything. And then I ended up asking for a paternity test. Babies, I found out the babies weren't mine. So this person was lying to me, or thought the babies were his, and, and I'm here. So they ended up, she decided to end up letting him in, at first his friends, and kind of warming up to the situation. Came back to me for sessions to kind of help her along that way and changing that story for permanent. 3P pretty much disappeared. She has her children to take care of and whatever. So wasn't in the picture anymore. SP came right back to her, told her the situation, told her that he realized that it was a big mistake, that he's always wanted to be with her the whole entire time. And that those 3 or 4 months without her was grueling, that he was sad all the time, that he never felt that everything was, correct and right with him being with the 3P. It just never felt the same. He said that it was like puzzle piece was missing kind of thing. I remember him reflecting that back to her. And, they ended up being able to work out their situation. Right now, currently, it's still new. It's fresh. They are, like I said, she's coming to me for sessions. So they are trying to work out their story, and, and she's trying to work out her new story and her new reality, and really get it to heart and into fact. So these things don't happen again. Right. Cause this is uncomfortable, and she never wanted that in her reality. Nobody wants that in their reality. But they're both my success stories. They were both able to get rid of the 3P. They were both able to find out that, you know, the babies were not them, theirs, their SPs, by paternity test. You know, they have it in writing, and they're both working on things with their SPs now. So I just want to let you know, once again, not alone, not permanent. Okay. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. I'm sure this video is way too long. There was a lot of things to touch on, but I know that this will reach a lot of people where you're in the same exact situation or similar situation. And it'll really help you realize what you've been doing and how to correct it, and know that all of this stuff is malleable and changeable. Okay. So it just takes diligence, repetition, consistency. I want you to decide, okay? Less about action, more about decision. And then I want you to declare and command that this is it. This is going to work for me. And I'm going to change the situation around, all right? And I want you guys to get everything that you desire, especially in spooky season. All right. I love all you guys. If you guys need any help on your journey, feel free to reach out, please, please, please. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and check out our free course on how to find your blocks and manifest anything fast. You know, it's very important for us to find those blocks and resistance so we can get over the hurdles, because the only way to get to the other side is just through it, man. You know, buckle down and step into your power. All right. Love you guys. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.